What is up, everybody? Back with another video, man. Turning to Foogiano cut his ankle monitor and went on the run for 3 months by Hip Hop Daily. Let's get into
Rapper
it.
Foogiano is in some trouble after melting off his ankle monitor and going on the run from police for over 3 months. Now, he's spending the next few years in prison. Let's break down this wild story. Foogiano is a rapper from Greensboro, Georgia, known for tracks like Molly and So Icy Boys Parts 2 and 3. Greensboro is a small city with a population of only about 3,500 people, so growing up, he knew everyone in town. But he also grew up in a large family that included 5 brothers and 4 sisters. He started getting involved in the streets at a young age and has had several run-ins with the law that almost cost him his life. He jumped off the porch at just 12 years old and started robbing and selling coke. He says he was forced into the streets because there wasn't anything else to do in Greensboro. Early on, he wanted to be a basketball star, but that dream was crushed after he started getting in trouble with the law. He first got locked up at just 14 for an attempted robbery.
I feel like
and
that's
ended
like everyone. They want to be, they want to play basketball or do football.
up spending about a year in a juvenile detention center. After getting out, he met his father for the first time at 15 years old. At 16, he moved to Athens, Georgia, and linked up with one of his brothers. Together, they started robbing homes in wealthy neighborhoods. He continued to make money this way for several years and ended up going to prison for a home invasion in 2013. Neighbors noticed 2 men acting suspiciously and called the police. They say the 2 men got dropped off by a vehicle and then go into the back of one of the homes without going through the front door. When police showed up, they saw 2 men jump out of the window and run down the street. They later tracked them down at a local middle school and brought them in for questioning. They were eventually charged with burglary, possession of burglary tools, and obstruction of law enforcement. Nothing was stolen because police arrived while they were still in the home. But all 3 men, including the getaway driver, were still charged, and Foogiano ended up doing about 3 years in prison for the crime. While he was locked up, he started making music. He had always written poems and was good at putting words together. So, another inmate suggested that he turn his poems into music and start rapping. He messed around with rapping while behind bars and started taking it more seriously once he got out. He dropped his first song, Gutta, in 2017 and got a lot of positive feedback from the people around him. That was enough for him to continue to grind and put out more music. He ended up doing an artist showcase run by local rapper Boom Man, which featured a grand prize of $10,000 and a label contract. He ended up winning the showcase and signed to Authentic Empire Music Group. Not long after, Foogiano would drop his breakout single, Molly, which quickly racked up millions of views. The song was later remixed by DaBaby, which gained him even more mainstream exposure. He followed up with the song Trapper, which also did major numbers, and he ended up securing a verse from Lil Baby for the remix. So Foogiano was quickly on his way to blowing up in the music industry. His hustle ended up catching the attention of Gucci Mane, who signed him to 1017 Records in March 2020. He dropped his debut project, Gutta Baby, in November 2020, which featured guest verses from Gucci, Pooh Shiesty, and Jacquees. So, it seemed like everything was finally coming together for Foogiano. But just because he'd made some waves in the industry, didn't mean he was out of the streets. In July 2020, there was a shooting at one of Foogiano's shows that left 2 people dead and several injured. He was performing at Lavish Lounge in Greensville, South Carolina, when someone on stage started firing into the crowd. 2 sheriff's deputies responded to the scene around 2 a.m. after a group of people was spotted running out of the venue. In total, about 10 people were shot and 2 were later pronounced dead. The victims who lost their lives were a 23-year-old woman named Michaela Bella and a 51-year-old security guard employed by the club. Foogiano was performing at the time, so he was not charged with anything, but was later sued over the incident. One of his associates, Jacquees Cooper, was charged with 2 counts of murder and 7 counts of attempted murder. According to police, the shooting occurred after Cooper threw up a gang.
7 counts of attempted murder? You tried 7 times? Wait, no, is this? Hold on, let me go back.
After a group of people was spotted running out of the venue. In total, about 10 people were shot and 2 were later pronounced dead. The victims who lost their lives were a 23-year-old woman named Michaela Bella and a 51-year-old security guard employed by the club. Foogiano was performing at the time, so he was not charged with anything, but was later sued over the incident. One of his associates, Jacquees Cooper, was charged with 2 counts of murder and 7 counts of attempted murder. According to police, the shooting occurred after Cooper threw up a gang sign on stage. This instigated a fight between him and someone in the crowd.
I didn't even realize they said
and firing
that.
several shots into the audience, which ended up hitting the innocent bystanders. Then, in December 2020, Foogiano was arrested again after police pulled him over in his hometown of Greensboro. They had already had their eye on him after the nightclub shooting, so they pulled him over for a faulty brake light and tinted windows. The officer who pulled him over claims that he smelled weed and began searching the vehicle. During the search, he uncovered a bunch of cash and a Glock 19 9mm pistol with a laser beam. Foogiano was not permitted to have the weapon because of his previous conviction for robbery, so he was arrested. During his arrest, he allegedly told police that he had to carry the gun because he was a famous rapper, and most end up getting shot. But that wasn't a good excuse for the police, and he was brought to the county jail. He was charged with possession of a firearm as a convicted felon and was kept in jail for several days. He was later released on a $50,000 bond, but was ordered to wear an ankle monitor and remain inside the state of Georgia until trial. But Foogiano clearly didn't take this order all that seriously, and just a day after his release, police received an alert that something was wrong with his ankle monitor. They tracked its location and found it on the side of a highway after Foogiano had melted it off his ankle and tossed it on the other side of the road.
That's crazy.
So it seemed like the rapper was taking a page out of Tay-K's playbook and decided to ditch his monitor and do the race. But that move didn't work out too well for Tay-K either, and now the police are pissed off and ready to take him down. Given his criminal history, they could have kept him
I ain't beat that case. I did the race. Beat it up, oil nut, shorty face. Now blast her foes like a bass.
in jail until trial, but they decided to let him go, which they would later regret. Just like Tay-K, Foogiano didn't even try to keep a low profile. He continued to go on IG Live, flexing huge stacks of cash, and even filmed a music video while on the run. He dropped the track
crazy.
Free Foo in March 2021, which featured a recording from a police radio telling other cops to be on the lookout for Foogiano, who was on the run and considered armed and dangerous. The video also featured actors dressed as police coming to arrest him and chasing him as he escapes out the back door. It was like he was taunting the cops and begging them to come find him, and they were just as eager to bring him in. On March 11th, 2021, U.S. Marshals tracked him to a location in Memphis, Tennessee. He was in town attending the memorial service for Pooh Shiesty's brother, who had been battling brain cancer. He and Shiesty were both signed to 1017 and must have formed a close bond for Foogiano to risk his freedom to attend his brother's service. At that point, Foogiano had been on the run for about 3 months and was charged with being a fugitive of justice without a warrant. But even behind bars, Foogiano was in good spirits. He told his fans that the arrest wasn't going to slow down his hustle, and he seemed positive about getting released. In early May, he pled guilty to removing his government-issued ankle monitor GPS device and evading authorities by going on the run. It would have been pretty hard for him to plead not guilty after he literally made a song about admitting to what he did while still on the run. The judge decided to make an example out of him, and he was sentenced to 5 years in prison. The sad part is that Foogiano could have easily gotten less time or even probation if he had just pled guilty to the gun charge in the first place. He has enough industry connections and lawyer money to work out a deal. But it seems like he couldn't escape the street mentality.
Bro, you could have, honestly, you probably wouldn't even have got a year or two. You probably would have just got like probation for like a couple years. But bro, you got 5 years now. 5 years, and bro, that is so tough. Cause I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know who you were before this video started. And yeah, the fans you had now, they're definitely not here 5 years from now, bro. Like, bro, look at, you know what I'm saying? Look at Bobby Shmurda, bro. You know what I'm saying? Bro, yeah, them fans, you got, yeah, bro.
And it ended up costing him his freedom. Several big names in the industry tweeted out their support after the verdict was announced. The rapper's former mentor, Boom Man, who signed him early on in his career, tweeted, "Greene County just gave @Foogiano the mayor 5 years for cutting off his ankle monitor for a gun charge that wasn't his and was claimed by someone else. This is beyond crazy. We have to do something about this." He's not wrong about gun laws being messed up, especially when it comes to rappers and felons who are just trying to protect themselves. But when you decide to cut off a court-ordered ankle monitor and taunt the cops while on the run, you have to be prepared for the consequences. Meek Mill also came out in support, tweeting, "Free Foogiano. Don't try to kill that man's whole career about trying to protect himself years ago." Plus, the trap god himself, Gucci Mane, showed support for his artists, sharing a picture of them together on Instagram with the caption, "Free my dog ASAP, we on top of it." Foogiano's case is a perfect example of a successful rapper who didn't appreciate the blessings he'd been given. His original charge wasn't even that serious, and he could have easily gotten it dismissed or pled down if he hired a good lawyer. But instead, he decided to go on the run while still trying to make music, which was bound to fail. He should have paid attention to what happened to the original rapper turned fugitive, Tay-K, who didn't even have a chance.
Bro, that's never gonna work, bro. Like, bro, you gonna get caught eventually. Like, bro, there's no way you can just stay on the run for your entire life, bro. You gonna slip up eventually, bro. You on the run from a gun charge, bro. Like, I understand if it was like murder or something, but it's a gun charge, bro. Like, bro, you not gonna even do that much time, bro. It's a gun charge.
Chance to enjoy the success of his music before he was sentenced to decades in prison. Foogiano can still have a second chance at a career. He's gonna need to change his ways and prove some good behavior if he wants to get out. If not, he's gonna be locked up for the rest of his life. Hopefully, we'll see.
Good behavior, he could probably get out in like 2.5 years. But that's only if you have good behavior.
Foogiano free soon.
But yeah, bro, that's gonna be the end of this video. You know what I'm saying? Like, comment, subscribe. We out, bro.